Hey friends, how are you doing? So I don't know if you can tell, my windows are open. The high today was 80, it's breezy, it's totally fall feeling in my house. So I wanted to share some fall decor with you that I've done. Plus I'm making chili, so I wanted to show you my chili process. Check this out. I did that. All those picks came from Hobby Lobby. The actual vase or whatever it is kind of a wicker basket. It's not glass or anything. That came from Hobby Lobby. And then I have just a few touches here and there. That's underneath my TV. And then this is the railing on the top of my steps. And then I have that on my front door. So, I mean, I didn't go all crazy. I have just a few little fall knickknacks on my end tables and, you know, a fall swag back there. So it's not crazy town. I also have this little guy. It's not crazy town yet. I don't have any Halloween stuff out yet, but I'm definitely feeling the fall vibes. So I wanted to show you my chili. My chili is unique to most people's chili. It's just a little bit different. It's the way I've mostly made it. I changed one thing years ago and my husband loves it this way. So actually two things. So it's the way I always make it. So right now I have, this is one orange pepper, and then I had like less than half of a yellow pepper in the fridge that I had already used some of. And then I have one sweet Vidalia onion, and I'm just going to cook these up and let them kind of get translucent. And I like to cook this kind of stuff in a cast iron skillet. This baby is well seasoned, so nothing ever sticks. So next, once those get translucent, I'm gonna put a pound of ground beef and a pound, this is beef and this is pork. So I like to add two different meats. Do you. Sometimes I use chicken and turkey, y'all. Yeah, I do that. So okay, I was reviewing my videos and realized that when I got a phone call that kind of came in, it didn't, and my screen came back. I wasn't recording, so I wanted to tell you my ingredients before the next clip because you're gonna be real confused. Anyway, what I used in my chili, there's like 5 different things. I do occasionally mix it up. Like I've said, there's probably no 2 batches of my chili that are identical. It's just what I do. I do what I'm feeling that day. So I use a small can of tomato paste. I really like the depth of flavor with tomato paste. I used to use a really big can of tomato sauce, like this size, but I've downsized from that to this size for my husband and I, because that makes a big batch and it's just the 2 of us. And as it is, I'm gonna have leftovers for the freezer. So I use this size can. This is 14.5 ounce can of tomato sauce. So and then I use the same size can of diced tomatoes and the same size can. Actually, I think it's just a tiny bit smaller. It's the Rotel, but I usually get the store brand of Rotel because it's cheaper. So, and that has like jalapenos and onions and peppers and tomatoes in it. It's got flavoring in there. So I add that, and then I've got the paste. I told you about the paste. And I add 1 can of corn, drained. Hear me out. It gives you a really nice sweet bite occasionally, just 1 can in the whole batch. It's a really nice addition. I'm telling you, if you don't put corn in your chili, you're missing out. And as far as beans, okay, I used to use chili beans, But one time we were at this fall get together, it's been decades ago, and there was somebody there that had made their version of Weight Watchers chilies, and they had used ground turkey and green beans. And I tried it. I didn't think it sounded good at all, but I tried it and couldn't believe how delicious it was. And if you're a person that gets like some indigestion, some bloating, some gassy issues from chili beans, try green beans. I prefer the French style, but that's just a personal preference. I like the way they mix into the chili better than the cut beans. So, but if you like the cut beans, use those. So for my batch, for my husband and I used 3 cans of the 14.5 ounce green beans, and I drained 2 of them. And the third one, I used the juice and all. It really does add flavor to the chili. So those are my ingredients. As far as what I've had in my crock pot all day. Now I also use 1 packet of chili seasoning mix, whichever kind you like. I get the Walmart brand because I add to that. So I put that in, I stir all that stuff together in my crock pot this morning, and it's been on low all day. And I added additional chili powder, additional Mrs. Dash, because it doesn't have salt, and garlic powder and cumin. So I just kind of sprinkle it in there. I don't measure. Those are the things that I add additional to it. I'm sure all of those things are in the Walmart chili packet, but for me, I don't know if it's because of the green beans, 1 packet for my batch of chili is not enough, but 2 packets is too much. So I use a packet and then I add more to it. And the next video, you'll see that I add even more seasoning to the onions and peppers and meat. So you'll see that next. Okay, I'm back. So I have put in my 1 pound, this is pork, and this is hamburger. This is the 75-25, I think. Let's see here. Now this is the organic Simply Nature from Aldi's, and it's 85-15. When I'm making chili, I kind of want some of the beef fat flavor in there because I think it really adds to the chili. And then the pork was just a pound of never any ground pork. So, and that's also from Aldi's. I don't know why, but I saw the forecast, or I think it was last weekend. It was brutally hot here, and I saw the forecast for this week, and I was like, it's calling my name, chili, 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 chili. So, and like I was saying earlier, I used to use way more cans of ingredients as far as beans. I would use like 3 of the big cans of the French style green beans, which I prefer. I've tried it both ways, the cut green beans and the French style, and my husband and I just both like it better with the French style. They taste the same. It just has something to do with the bite, I think, you put in your mouth. I don't know. We prefer that. But I used to put a lot more ingredients in when I had 3 kids at home. But I'm trying to learn how to cook for 2. It's a struggle, y'all. And looking at this pile in this pan, it is going to be a lot of chili. Because by the time I add all this to that, it's going to be full. So it started to cook, and I'm kind of breaking it down. But now I'm going to season. So I'm going to put the phone right here. It's probably going to fall off because that's kind of how my luck rolls. Can you hear me okay? I hope so, because I have you kind of sitting on the bottom there. Okay, so I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. I've already put chili powder in there. It's already going to be probably too spicy for me, but I like to season the meat while I'm cooking it also. So, and I'm just eyeballing here, but I would say probably about half a teaspoon additional of chili powder. And this is just I transferred it to these little jars because I have them down here in a basket. And then probably 1 full teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm just eyeballing, like I said, y'all. We like our chili, garlicky and oniony. Probably another teaspoon of onion powder. I know I'm cooking onions in here, but onion powder just has a punch of flavor. So, and of course it's hard. Does that ever happen to your powders in the pantry? Like, well, it's actually not hard. I thought it was. It's probably a whole nother teaspoon, half to a full teaspoon of onion powder. And then about another half teaspoon of cumin. And I'm, like I said, I'm just sprinkling and eyeballing, so none of that was that accurate. I've also salted and peppered my peppers and onions, but I'm also going to salt the meat separately. So I just have some pink Himalayan sea salt here. I'm just going to pop some of the salt on the meat. Whenever I'm cooking, I like to season each layer separately. It's just what I do, y'all. My mom probably taught me that decades ago. So I just took a pinch out of each one of these jars and threw it on the meat. So let me stir that up and I'll show you where I'm at. Actually, I changed my mind. I wanted to tell you something else. So I'm going to tell you what I have going on back here on this countertop. And I'm sorry about that glare from the window, but it's heaven. Y'all, the breeze and the sunshine, I love it. So I made a new batch of sourdough bread yesterday. I found this recipe on, it's called Little Spoon Farm here on YouTube. And she is a sourdough master. And this was a soft white sandwich bread. And if you've ever made sourdough, generally it's 4 ingredients. You have starter, sourdough starter, which, here's mine. You can see how bubbly it is. It's very active. Generally you have that, water, salt, and flour. That's it. So this recipe that I made yesterday turned out amazing, by the way. Very soft. And I sliced it when it cooled, and so we have a loaf of sliced bread in the fridge, in a loaf bag and everything. I saved one from a loaf that I had bought at a farmer's market. I saved the bag just for that. What I have going on here is from that same channel, she had soft sourdough hamburger buns. So here's my dough, and as you can see, it's very active. See all the bubbles in there? It does need to rise for probably a couple more hours. It needs to get up above this before I would consider it doubling in size. So this is a really wet dough. So this was kind of like the sourdough bread, except it doesn't have to ferment as long. So I mixed the ingredients together, and then I had let it rest for a half hour, and then I did, stretch and pulls every 30 minutes, 3 times, and now it's resting, 6 to 8 hours, depending on the temperature of your house, whether or not it's drafty. I would say it's probably in the 70s in my house. Let's see if I can see no, I can't, because it doesn't show up over there. My thermostat, I can't read it. But it is at least 6 hours. So, and it was about 10 o'clock when I got to that point with it. So I'm thinking maybe between 4 and 6 I can bake my hamburger buns. And that is like for the weekend, or maybe dinner tomorrow night or something. I just wanted to try them. And if we talk it over and decide not to eat them, I will put them in the freezer. I'll slice them and then put them in the freezer. But yeah, I'll post a picture of those. And that lady, she makes sourdough crackers, which I'm very excited to try because I like a lot of crackers in my chili. So tonight I'm going to be substituting crackers in my chili for sourdough croutons that I made yesterday. I had mentioned that I had bought a loaf of sourdough at a market, and it was like a week ago, and I had it in the fridge and it was getting kind of dried out. So I cubed it up yesterday and I let it sit on the stove for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. And then I turned the oven on 350 and I melted about 3/4 of a stick of butter in a little measuring cup. And then I added seasoning, like I put some rosemary and some thyme and some garlic, onion, herby mixture stuff, kind of like Mrs. Dash, and salt and pepper and some olive oil. And I whisked all that together really good. And then I poured it over those breadcrumbs and made sure they got really saturated. And another thing you could put in there would be like Italian seasoning. That would be really good. Or even a dry cheese, powdered cheese like Parmesan. That would be really good too. Whatever flavor of croutons that you like. And then I had them in the oven for probably 10 minutes, and then I cranked it up to 375 for another 10 minutes. They turned out perfect. And just because they're sourdough, I'm going to use those in lieu of crackers tonight. So I usually love oyster crackers in my chili and my soups, but until I have sourdough crackers mastered, it'll be sourdough croutons for me. But anyway, so this is looking really good, y'all. Telling you about my sourdough stories allowed my meat to get done. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to get rid of these packages that the meat came in. Get those out of my way and wash my hand because I feel like I got stuff on it. But I hate touching raw meat. Like, it's the worst for me. So I'm gonna get a slotted spoon. As y'all know, I just moved into this house June 6th, and I still don't, I'm getting much better, but I'm still not completely acclimated with where I have everything. And I've moved things many, many times because, you know, you're never quite happy with where you've got something after you've been somewhere for a while. So I'm opening this crock pot. I'm actually gonna move it a little closer to the stove so I don't have a trail of grease. Hopefully you can see me okay. Throw that in the sink. I have a sink full of dishwater. You guys, when I'm in the kitchen, I always have a sink full of dishwater. Is that something that you do? I always do. Okay, I just moved you a little bit so you can still see me. And I'm going to turn my light on. Hopefully that doesn't make everything look really crazy. This chili looks and smells so good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this strainer so it's less trips over to the crock pot. So I'm gonna use my slotted spoon and fill up the strainer, and that way any additional drippings can come out back into the pan without grease going down in between the cabinet and my stove. That's never a good thing. That requires pulling the stove out to clean up, right? Okay. A little bit of grease I'm not going to worry about as far as getting in the chili. If you could, I mean, I'll show you how much grease is in this pan. And if you can just imagine that floating on the top of your chili when it's time to eat it, no thanks. I mean, you could skim it off, but if you can just not put it in your chili to begin with, that saves everything, right? And I'm getting so much fat out of here, so much juice, AKA pork and beef fat. I'm even kind of squeezing it a little bit while I bring it over to the crock pot because less chance of drippage. I mean, I'm gonna have a mess to clean up, but I'm trying to minimize my mess. So once I get done with this, I'll come back because I feel like this is taking me a while. So I'll be right back. Okay, also, if you can hear a mower outside, it's a neighbor. a neighbor mowing away at his lawn. My husband's been mowing this week. He finished it up last night, so I totally understand. And we have so many leaves in our yard already. It's gonna be a battle of wills with the trees here. Who's going to win? I'm not really sure. So this is a thick chili, you guys. I mean, this is just how my husband likes it too. I've had chili that made by others, and I know there's this whole debate, especially in Texas, about chili and whether or not it's supposed to have beans. I grew up with beans in my chili, so that's just what I know. But I have had chili from other people who've made it, and it was meat soup. That's what I called it. Apparently that's traditional chili. Did you guys know that? Okay, first, let me show you all the grease left from the meat that I just strained. That's a lot of grease to go in the chili. Don't put that in your chili. And here is my chili all stirred up. Are you hungry yet? Because looking at that and smelling it is making me hungry. So I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna switch it to warm. And it's still got 4 hours on the timer. So we're just gonna move that back over and let it do its thing. But I'll post a picture of the chili when we serve it as my cover photo. And if you guys aren't feeling chili, well, maybe you are now. So anyway, as always, much love from Candy's Best Life Over 50.